Hi guys, so today's do's and don'ts video is going to be looking at concealer and specifically under eye concealer, because it's still one of the questions that I get most often. How do I best lighten and brighten my under eyes? And I think the key concerns that most people have are it looks too cakey, it's settling in my fine lines and I can still see the shadow. So a couple of don'ts you can see on this side. I think a lot of people, in an attempt to make the under eye look brighter and fresher, they take their concealer a little bit bright. This concealer is also really just contained right underneath the eye. There's still kind of some bluey purple shadow on the side of my nose, and if you look closer you can see it's all congealed in my lashes. So what I want to do is talk through, there's so much to cover. I'll talk through some of my favourites. I'll talk through some of the different finishes, and then how I like to achieve good coverage and flattering finish under the eye. So first of all, some high street winners. I do love the Instant Age Eraser from Maybelline, as well as the All Day Flawless Concealer from Max Factor and Maybelline's Fit Me, each of which I'd say is a moderate coverage. Then if you're looking for a light feeling concealer, then I would say that Bobbi Brown Intensive Skin Serum Concealer is lightweight and moisturising, as is the Bye Bye Under Eye by IT Cosmetics. This has more coverage than the Bobbi Brown. And then I really love how both of these doe foot applicators, and by doe foot I mean kind of spongy tip, Magic Away from Charlotte Tilbury and Code 8's Seamless Concealer, both medium coverage. I particularly like the Magic Away on more mature skin. Same with the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. Then if you're looking for kind of medium coverage or a bit more coverage, then you've got the Armani Luminous Silk. I really love Urban Decay Naked Concealer, and probably my go-to at the moment, which is the Shiseido Synchro Skin, winning. But then if you want more full coverage, then L'Oreal Infallible, of course, Tarte Shape Tape. Why don't I have my Shape Tape? Fenty Pro Filter and NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I would say these three offer some of the best coverage going. Just be sure to moisturise so it doesn't look dry underneath. Two high-end concealers, Hourglass and Clé de Peau. Clé de Peau Beauté Stick Concealer, I use the shade PO, is absolutely divine. And I save this as special because it is not cheap. But if you're wanting to invest in an excellent under eye concealer, or concealer that can be used under the eye, then Clé de Peau is the one. Now, Corrector. I'm just going to touch on Corrector because for those of you who message me saying, no matter what I do, I can still see a shadow, you might be the kind of person that needs a corrector in your life. Now, the one I use most, as you can see, is Light to Medium Bisque by Bobbi Brown Cosmetics. It's slightly pinky, because if you look at the shade of my shadow here, that's quite a purple. Now, pink cancels out purple really well. However, if your under eye is slightly more browny in tone, or the shadow is, then you might want to move into a peachy tone. Now, this is the shade number 2 from Charlotte Tilbury, which is a bit more peach, which also works for me, but I think I prefer the finish or the brightness I get with the bisque from Bobbi Brown. And if you're a deeper, warmer skin tone, then you might look to go really quite peach. So peach is excellent for brightening under the eye, like cancelling out areas of really dark pigment. So these are brilliant options for deeper, warmer skin tones. So shall I show you some Corrector? It really is game changing. Now, some women are like, oh, I really don't want to use 2 products. But if I just show you the effect, maybe that will sway your opinion. So normally I do this with my fingers, but I'm going to use a brush so you can see clearly. So I'm getting some of the Corrector on a brush, and I'm going to take it through the right in the inner corner of my eye. So cancelling out the shadow that hasn't been cancelled out there. And then over that area in the inner corner where I get most of my discoloration. And then bring it down a little over the cheek. And then just bring a little out in the outer corner. Now there is at the moment a trend on Instagram and TikTok for just a bit of concealer in the inner corner and a little bit in the outer corner. I have brought my concealer much further down than in that trend because I do have discoloration there that I want to cancel. But following the trend, I'm doing a little in the outer corner just to kind of brighten, because I think most of us have a little bit of discoloration in the very corner, but I'm omitting this area here because that's where I have the most of my fine lines. So I don't want to add product unnecessarily in areas where I have lots of fine lines. Now I'm going to use my ring finger, as you've all seen me do millions of times before. Oh, I think we're going to get hit by the sun. Just to bounce that corrector into the skin, making sure I get right into the inner corner of the eye there to blend. And I'm sure you'll agree, one sec, when I just turn to face you, how much brighter is that? And what you'll also notice is I haven't taken it right up to the lash line. So first of all, there's no risk of the concealer kind of congealing in the lashes, which isn't a good look, but also that tiny bit of natural shadow right at the tip isn't a bad thing. So I've got the brightening effect with the corrector, then I'm going to take the skin tone correct concealer over the top. Now with the Shiseido one, I just tend to press in a couple of lines. You've probably seen me do that, and then just blend with my finger. And I think the reason I like the Synchro Skin so much is that it does offer good coverage, as you can see, but it doesn't have too dry of a finish. And I do find that the combination of having a concealer that's not too dry and this pressing motion with my finger does help to really work the concealer into the skin rather than leaving it to settle on the surface. If you don't tap it in sufficiently, that's when you can find that concealer kind of congeals and then settles in the fine lines. But hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that answers some of your questions. Please do add your comments and questions below and I'll look to get back to you. I hope you'll agree that using that light to medium bisque corrector that cancelled out the shadow with the Synchro Skin concealer that's just a tiny bit lighter than my skin tone has given a clean, fresh looking under eye with no shadow apparent versus this, too bright attempt to fix the problem. I hope that was helpful. Loads of love.